Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Topic 7, Lesson 4 set of notes on scale factor and perimeter. In this video, we're going to look at how enlarging or shrinking an object affects the perimeter of the object that has been enlarged or shrunk. So recall earlier in the topic, we were talking about scale factor, and scale factor was the number that we use to multiply each of the edges or sides of an object by to enlarge or shrink it. If the scale factor was greater than 1, remember that meant we would be enlarging the shape, or it would be a bigger copy. And if the scale factor was less than 1, that meant that the new copy or the new shape would be smaller than the original. And you should remember perimeter from elementary school. And perimeter is the distance around a two-dimensional shape. So we're going to review perimeter, and we're going to review scale factor before we get into how the scale factor affects the perimeter. So review for finding perimeter. Remember, to find the perimeter of a two-dimensional shape, all you have to do is you just have to add all the lengths of the shape together. So if we look at this example of the rectangle, I know that a rectangle has 4 sides, and if I'm going to add all of those sides together, I would get the perimeter. So I might only see 2 of the sides, but I need to make sure I add up all of the sides. So I'm going to have 8 and 1800ths, 8 and 1800ths. Again, the top of a rectangle and the bottom of a rectangle are going to be the same length. That's why I'm going to have 2 of those. And then I'm going to have 7 and 1800ths, and I'm going to have another 7 and 1800ths. If the left side of the rectangle is 7 and 1800ths, that means that the right side of the rectangle is also 7 and 1800ths, and I have the 4 sides that I need to add up to get my perimeter. Need to make sure my decimals are lined up because I am adding decimals. 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, that would be 16 and 16, that's 32. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Decimal comes straight down. 8 and 7 is 15, another 8 and 7 is another 15, and 15 and 15 would be 30. So the perimeter of the rectangle is going to be 30.72, whatever the units would be, right? I don't know if it's feet or miles or inches because they didn't give me that information. If we go to the triangle has 3 sides. So in order for me to find the perimeter, I need to add the value of those 3 sides together. So I can see that the long edge of the rectangle is 10.4. The bottom edge is 8.1. And the right edge is 6.2. Again, going to line up my decimals, and then I can go through and add like I normally would. 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. Bring my decimal down. 0 plus 8 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. I'm going to leave the 4, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And I can see that the perimeter of the triangle is going to be 24.7. And in this case, I do know that it is going to be inches because they told me that each side is in inches. Let's go ahead and review finding the scale factor. Just a reminder that scale factor is the number we multiply each length of the shape to enlarge or shrink an object proportionally. And if you recall from lesson 1, I believe, we talked about you take the corresponding edge from the new shape and you put that over the corresponding edge of the original shape. Remember, corresponding means it's the same edge on both shapes. For example, the corresponding edge that I'm going to use is the bottom edge. So the bottom edge of the new shape is 30, and the bottom edge of the original shape is 18. So I can tell instantly just by looking at the picture that it's an enlargement, right? So I should be expecting a number more than 1. And if I take that bottom edge of the new, which is 30, and I put it over the bottom edge of the original, which is 18, I can see that I have an improper fraction, and all improper fractions are more than 1. So I can go ahead and simplify this fraction, which I can go by 2, which is going to give me 15 over 9. And then I can divide those both 3, which is going to give me 5 over 3. So sometimes people will say that the scale factor is 5 over 3. Some people will take that scale factor of 5 over 3 and they will turn it to a mixed number, which would be 1 2/3. So the new shape, or the larger shape, is 1 2/3 times larger than the original. And some people actually will make it into a decimal, which would be 1.66 repeating. Let's scroll down to the second page and we can start to combine the two topics into one. So let's look at example 1 here. You can see the original shape is a trapezoid and the new shape is a larger trapezoid. So that tells me right away that my scale factor is going to be more than 1. If you recall from lesson 1, we talked about we can use the corresponding sides or corresponding edges to look for a pattern to find that scale factor. So I'm going to use the pattern strategy to figure out the scale factor from the original to the new. So I'm going to use the bottom edge. So the bottom edge of the original was 2. The bottom edge of the new shape is 8. And I can see that to go from 2 to 8, I can mathematically just multiply by 4. So that tells me that the scale factor from the original shape to the new shape is 4. The new shape is 4 times larger than the original shape. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to find the perimeter of the original shape. Remember, to find the perimeter of an object, we just add all of the edges of the shape together. So in that smaller original trapezoid, I can see 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 4.5 would be 9.5. And then 9.5 plus 1.5 would be 11. So I can tell you right now that the perimeter of the original shape is 11 yards. So I can use the scale factor and the perimeter of the original shape to find the perimeter of the new shape. And in order to do that, all I need to do is to take the scale factor, which we figured out was 4, and multiply that by the original perimeter, which we just figured out was 11. And that will give me a perimeter of 44, which happens to be the perimeter of the new shape if I went and added all those edges together. If we look at example 2, similar situation. This time we are going to be doing a shrinking. You can see that the original shape is larger than the new shape. So I am not going to look for a pattern here. I am going to use the corresponding edges. I'm going to use the left and the right edges to figure this out. So the right edge on the original shape was 15. And the right edge on the new shape is going to be 6. Remember, opposite sides on a rectangle are going to be congruent or equal. So if I use the new over original, that tells me that is going to be 6 over 15. And of course, I can divide those both by 3, which means that the scale factor is 2/5 of the original size. If you want to go ahead and make that 0.4 for multiplication purposes later on, we can certainly do that. And we can certainly find the perimeter of the new shape fairly easily, right? Again, understanding the top and the bottom of the rectangle are going to be the same. The right side and the left side are going to be the same. So 25 plus 25 is 50. 15 plus 15 is 30. 50 plus 30 is 80. In order for me to find the perimeter of the new shape, all I need to do is take the scale factor, which was 2/5 or 0.4, and I'm going to multiply that by 80. And everything from topic 0 comes into play here, right? If you take 0.4 and you multiply it by 80, you are going to get a perimeter of 32 inches for the new shape. All right, so the scale factor for both shapes, 4. If we look at let's look at example 1. The scale factor for the first one was 4. That perimeter was 4 times bigger than the original shape. And if we look at the example number 2, the scale factor was 2/5, and that perimeter of the new shape was 2/5 of the original shape. So the ratio of the scale factor is the same as the perimeter in both examples. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and try some examples below. And then in a few seconds, you can unpause the video and you can see the correct answers. All right, if you scroll down, you can see the results for the 2 practice problems that I wanted you to try. Again, pretty basic, pretty simple. In that first example, the scale factor is 3.5. So all I needed to do is find the perimeter by adding the 4 sides together and then multiply that scale factor times that original perimeter. That gives me the value of the new perimeter. Same thing for example number 2. The scale factor was 2.8. I added up the 4 sides of the rectangle to get the perimeter of 24.8, and then I multiplied that original perimeter by the scale factor to figure out the perimeter of the new shape. Make sure if you have any questions or concerns that you speak up and ask myself or Mr. Barnes or Mr. Willard, and good luck.